Hey, what's up, you guys? Swan here from Swan Things. And today's video is going to be slightly different because I'm actually looking for some advice on some things that I am not too sure about. So, for the past week, I've been trying to study into asset allocation. For those of you who are unaware, asset allocation basically studies how much of your money should you put into each asset class in order to reach your financial goals. Now, there are plenty of different asset classes out there. For example, stocks, bonds, real estate, commodities, and so on. Basically, since you have a limited amount of money to invest, you need to decide where and how much should you invest your money in order to maximize your chances of reaching your financial goals. So I've been trying to optimize my investment portfolio for some time now, but I just haven't gotten around doing it because I've been moving my money around, especially during the COVID pandemic, just to take advantage of the market situation at the time. Now that the markets have somewhat recovered, I decided to take a hard look at my investment portfolio and I realized that I need to do some rebalancing. So, right now, my investment portfolio looks like this. Now, it's definitely not near where I want it to be, but I will be making a lot of adjustments to it soon. As you can tell, I am very heavily invested in the Malaysian market. So that is something I'm working on diversifying away from. So I want to put more of my money into US and international markets. So the next thing you can see is that I don't have a lot in stash away at the moment because I decided to take out a lot of that money to put into local stocks back in March when everything crashed. So I do plan to put a lot more into stash away soon. But that's not the focus today because the major issue I have with my portfolio at the moment is that I am holding way too much money in unit trusts. Yes, unit trusts. Now, before you judge me, and maybe you're just confused at this point, like what's wrong with unit trusts? Well, the major issue I have with unit trusts is that they charge way too much in annual management fees. If you watch my PRS video here, you'll see that I have already calculated the effects of these fees on your investments over time, and they are terrible. Basically, at an annual management fee of 1.5%, which is what I'm paying for my unit trust right now, if you invest 1 ringgit for 30 years and the fund returns 10% per year, your investment should have grown to 17 ringgit by the end of that period. However, you'll be paying 6 ringgit of your profits in fees to the fund manager while you keep 10% of the profit. If the fund does badly, you still have to pay these fees. So essentially, you are putting up 100% of your money, taking on 100% of the risk in hopes to get about 60%-ish of the profits. So this is why I have issues with unit trusts because the fees are just way too much. So now you might be wondering, if it's so bad, why did I buy all these unit trusts in the first place? Well, I actually bought these quite some time ago, and at the time, I didn't really do too much research into investments. In fact, when I heard about the annual management fee at 1.5%, I was like, oh my god, that's such a great deal. And also, on top of that, I actually paid 5.5% in transaction fees on all these investments. But yeah, I did that. It was a mistake, and now I'm holding 22% of all my investments in unit trusts. So this brings us to my conundrum for today, which is, should I sell these off and invest them elsewhere? To be more specific here, I'm holding on to two groups of unit trusts. Now, I got pretty lucky with the first group because as of today, this unit trust has returned on average 5.63% every year for the past 3 years after fees. So it's not really terrible because at least it's sort of on par with the EPF. So what I'm gonna do with this group is I'm gonna sell them off and invest the money elsewhere for higher returns. No problem because I won't be losing any money on this sale. So my real problem is actually with my second group of unit trusts, which has a total return of negative 14.3%. So here I really have two options. First, I could hold on to the unit trust and hope that the prices go up so that I don't lose any money in the long term. The second option would be to sell these unit trusts off and take the 14% loss and then invest that money in lower cost investments that would hopefully recover all my losses. The thing is, when I think about the math, it makes more logical sense for me to sell these off now because if the fund continues to underperform, I'll still have to pay the unit trust fees, which can be a lot. My struggle here is then quite irrational because the thing is, I am reluctant to make the decision to sell off these unit trusts because I have never sold off any of my investments for a loss. Even during the COVID pandemic, when everything went down way more than I expected, I held on to all my stocks and everything turned out just fine. But this situation is different because these are unit trusts, which means that I have no control over what stocks are being held, and also it will cost me to hold on to these investments over time. At this point, my plan is to sell off the first group of unit trusts, which is still in the green, and invest that money somewhere else to generate higher returns. As for my second group of unit trusts, I'm not so sure if I should hold on to the unit trust and hope that the value goes up over time, or to sell off the unit trust now and take a 14% loss and then invest that money somewhere else to recover the losses. If you have any thoughts or inputs on which decision is better, feel free to leave it down in the comments below. And that's all I have for you today. I guess it really turned out to be sort of a rant on unit trusts, which I am holding way too much of in my portfolio. However, I hope that this video encourages you to look at your own portfolio and not just leave it there like I did for years. I'm still working on researching into asset allocation, so hopefully I'll be able to summarize that in a future video. Until then, smash that like button and subscribe to my channel for more personal finance content. Also, do let me know if you think it's a good idea to sell off my unit trust and invest the money elsewhere. I'd love to know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!